Hello everyone, thanks for having me during these still rather strange times. I suppose it's useful to quickly explain what ACAS is. We're best known for trying to resolve employment disputes between employers and employees, be it as an individual dispute or where it's of a collective nature. However, on top of these statutory duties, we do have a variety of services that are focused on trying to improve employment relations and improving working life and workplaces through training, advice and guidance. While everyone has been affected by the coronavirus pandemic, research suggests that disabled workers have been disproportionately affected, both in terms of the impact on their health and well-being, and also on their chances of staying in employment. Looking more closely at neurodiversity, recent research from the Institute of Leadership and Management certainly suggests that we still need to explain and highlight the benefits of truly inclusive workplaces. They found that 50% of people would not employ someone from one of the neural minorities, despite it likely often amounting to a disability. Their research also found that very few workplace policies and procedures include any reference to neurodiversity. Of employers interviewed, only 27% had inclusion policies and 19% bullying and harassment policies which mention it, and only 21% offered any sort of training for managers and leaders on neurodiversity. This does rather highlight that we still need to do more to raise awareness and dispel misunderstanding and stigma that persists, and also help employers and managers become more confident and better able to support a neurodiverse workforce. A key tenet of any successful neurodiverse workforce is flexibility. I only have 10 minutes, so I'll just focus on the headline points here. And it feels rather strange, but I will start with recruitment. So mainly because it does feel strange because of obviously there's so much talk at the moment in the news around redundancy, yet the annual CBI survey published in September this year revealed that 51% of firms were expecting to maintain or increase their permanent recruitment in the next 12 months. So it's not all doom and gloom, and opportunities are out there. As ACAS research found in 2016, recruitment processes are typically inflexible and often unfairly disadvantage neurodivergent applicants. So what can be done to make recruitment processes fairer and more flexible? Well, as a start, employers should move away from the bias of recruiting generalists over specialists using a standard set of criteria or behaviours for most roles within their business, no matter what skills are actually required to do the specific job. Instead, employers should endeavour to be more flexible around who they employ. The neurodiverse workforce containing generalists and specialists is likely to be more resilient and potentially have a greater competitive advantage due to having staff that approach problems in different ways. From the outset of any recruitment process, employers need to be more flexible in how applicants can apply for the role, offering different ways to complete the application form and providing sample answers to provide clarity on how to respond to the questions posed. Employers could even consider if they actually need to wait until the interview before applicants know the questions they will be asked, or can they be given in advance to allow applicants to prepare their answer. Moving on to the importance of flexibility in performance management. ACAS research found that neurodivergent staff were no more likely than other staff to have performance issues if they were given the appropriate support. But getting that support can often be lacking, and this has been exacerbated by COVID-19. One particular challenge presented by the new home working environment is the isolation issue and the absence of one-to-one mentorship so often required for certain neurodivergent conditions such as dyslexia or autism. Yet, good practice in this area is actually fairly consistent no matter the circumstances. A fundamental starting point is managers having the skills to be adaptable and tailor their management style to meet the individual needs of each team member. Emotional intelligence here is key, being self and socially aware. And for many managers, to improve in this area will require training. It's easy to forget that a key part of any performance management should also be around developing staff and enabling them to progress. However, for neurodivergent team members, managers again need to be flexible in what support they provide. A key problem that our research found was that neurodivergent staff often don't apply for jobs they would be good at due to a lack of confidence or not knowing how best to present themselves. So managers can support their staff by helping them identify suitable vacancies, say, or mentoring them into roles that best fit their skills. While neurodivergence will often amount to a disability, I have always found it troubling that whether reasonable adjustments are provided is often based on whether the individual can meet the definition of disability under the Equality Act, rather than focusing on whether the adjustment will make it easier for the individual to perform as the employer requires, and whether the adjustment is relatively easy to implement and affordable. Reasonable adjustments are, of course, a key part of any employers meeting their duty of care. Yet with the pandemic changing the world of work for many, it is important to think again about the adjustments and support processes already in place and whether they continue to work as required. For example, while a dyslexic worker may have software or a colleague to help when dictating emails, etc., do they have the same access to this support at home? Ad hoc support and regular catch-ups are also important. People can feel more self-conscious in the current climate and may not want to ask for help. And so again, having that emotional intelligence is key. One of the challenges with the move for many organisations to home working this year has been around trust, when managers cannot see their staff at work. So I'm going to finish by talking briefly about the importance of having trustworthy leaders in an inclusive workplace. An interesting and informative paper by Bath University and the CIPD highlighted that there are 4 qualities of trustworthy leaders: ability, benevolence, integrity, and predictability. Ability requires managers to use the knowledge and skills they have to get the best out of all their staff. As we've already discussed, it's about being able to adapt their personal style to meet the individual needs of their team members. Benevolence requires managers showing that they care. This isn't so much about making assumptions, but about being approachable. Our research found that even with an employee who is actively seeking to support neurodiversity, employees typically still took 2 years to disclose their condition. So are you willing to offer adjustments to all staff, even if there does not appear to be a disability obligation to do so? Integrity is essentially about being fair. There is so much possibility of an us and them culture at the moment. Those not working versus those on furlough, those on reduced hours versus those working full time, those working from home versus those working in the office. It is essential that within workplaces there is not another us and them of neurodivergent versus other employees. In the end, we are all different with different needs and motivations, and actually, as the ACAS research found, everyone benefits from an inclusive workplace. Finally, predictability. Unexplained change can be difficult for anyone, but it can be especially stressful for neurodivergent colleagues. Both the immediate upheaval of lockdown, where there was a large volume of change with little time to process it or adapt, such as furlough, working from home or having to follow new workplace rules, or the more insipid evolution of mass working from home cultures, for example, around everyone holding a lot of video conferencing at the start when all this happened, but then getting fed up with the overexposure and now avoiding calls at all costs. Does highlight how it can be hard for neurodivergent colleagues to handle these changes. As a recent personnel article explained, many individuals, especially autistic people, have routines in place which provide structure, safety, security, and help make sense of the world. Not being able to do things in the same way or finding it difficult to establish new routines or restrictions are in place can have a significant impact on someone's ability to work, their general well-being, and their mental health. So can managers therefore take steps to mitigate the impact of these changes as much as possible and look towards create a more dependable new normal for their team members? Hopefully, in regards to coronavirus, we are beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So what will be interesting is what happens next. At ACAS, we are keen to support and encourage employees to build back better. While it is perhaps tempting to just go back to what work was like last year, there is an opportunity to relook at the world of work and what can be done to provide better working lives. Flexibility to meet individual needs and trustworthy leaders would seem key elements to this, but we would welcome any insight or thoughts you have on this, and I look forward to the upcoming discussion which we will have, or please do email me if you have any thing you want to share. Thanks for the time.